Hello there. Welcome to Lesson 21 in our 26-lesson course entitled Leadership at the Points of Contact. And as you know by now, in this section we're focusing on a key leadership role, which is to facilitate the relentless search for better ways. If you look at the graphic on your screen, you'll see a 4-step model that I've created to help you in your role as a facilitator. The 4 steps are deliberate, decide, implement, and improve. In the first step, deliberate, we identify our targets, if you will. We identify the processes that we want to focus on, the changes we'd like to make to those processes. In decide, we pick the one we're going to focus on. We create actionable plans for making those changes. I guess if you think about these first 2 steps, deliberate and decide, they are very similar to the first two steps in target shooting, ready and aim. We get prepared for the key step. And make no mistake about it, dear friends, the key step in this model is the one we're focusing on today, and that is implement. If we're not going to implement, if we're not going to execute, then we have essentially wasted our time and our effort in the first 2 steps. We take those steps for one reason and one reason only, and that is to implement. And so, in the implement step, the all-important step at which we execute, what we're doing is we're converting our actionable plans into action. We are looking back at the plan, the steps of the plan. Who will do what by when? We have specific people who are accountable for taking specific steps or performing specific tasks and time frames for performing, both beginning the performance and achieving whatever sort of objectives we have for each one of those steps. We convert our actionable plans into action. The second component, or the second consideration where implementation is concerned, is we require a good faith effort on the part of participants. Now, good faith effort means different things to different people. All I'm talking about here is everybody is going to come to the table with his or her individual agenda. Would you agree with that? And as representatives of different factions within your organization, whether they're departments or branches or divisions, they're going to bring some vestige at least of their factional agendas. But what we must have in this step, in the implementation step, is we must have people who are willing to temporarily set aside these individual factional agendas in deference to the organizational agenda, in deference to achieving the objectives for which we are implementing this plan. The next consideration is one that I think you're going to see evidence of why I've included this, of the relevance of what I'm going to say next. The time for deliberation is what? It's over for now. We have talked and deliberate, and we've continued to talk and refine our deliberations in decide. And now it's time to do what? It's time to take action. Here's what you're going to discover. Some of the people you invite to participate with you in deliberation will decline your invitation. And that's all right. I mean, there are legitimate reasons for why people might not be able to participate, conflicting, scheduling conflicts or whatever. There are others who will decline your invitation to participate because they don't see it as being part of their job. They're not especially engaged, to reflect back on something we talked about earlier. But here's what you can pretty much count on. When you and the people who have participated with you collaboratively come up with a decision, with a plan, and when you share that plan with the people who didn't have time or didn't want to participate in deliberation, suddenly, guess what they're going to be very interested in doing? They're going to want to talk. They're going to want to deliberate, and it is incumbent, it's essential for you at that point to make it clear to them that we've been there and we've done that. Now, I'm not telling you we're not going to come back and talk about it some more at some point, because by golly we are. But for right now, the time for what? The time for deliberation is over, and the time for implementation has begun. Know this going in. Not everybody will conform to this expectation. But also know this as leaders, that is not a reason for you to lower your standard or your expectation. Finally, what we're looking for is, and what we'll find in this model, we'll find behavioral evidence of who our team players are. And all I mean by team players in the context of this model is people who in deliberation will tell you what they think, not what they think you want to hear. And people in implementation who may disagree with the decision, but will what? Will roll up their sleeves and work to make it happen. Let's look at the action items for this lesson. Review the information you've developed for the first 2 steps. And as you continue to work through the model on your own, here are some suggestions. 1, look over the list of people you'll invite to participate in this collaborative process with you. People with operational expertise. Which of those people do you expect to participate actively in this process? Which ones do you expect to resist participating? What are some of the conflicting agendas that you suspect might come into play as you begin facilitating this process? I want you to begin thinking right now about things you can do to, 1, encourage active participation, and 2, encourage participants' willingness to set aside these individual and factional agendas in deference to your agenda for facilitating the process by which you will find better ways. Completing the action items is key. Do so. We'll pick up here next time.